Buenas a todos, chavales. Otro viernes más con el Star Citizen Live. En este caso se titula Character Team, ¿no? Tipo de personajes. Empieza ahí ahora en... Nada, empieza la mandanga. Y bueno, para aquellos que no lo sepáis todavía, vais a ver luego, van a quitar Levski en la 3.12.1 y bueno, siendo de la mar también, lo van a mover ya para el sistema Nix. Pero no vamos a volver a ver el sistema Nix, o en este caso Delamar, mejor dicho, no vamos a volver a ver Delamar hasta que implementen el server mesh, que esperemos sea a lo largo de este año, y a ver si se actualiza hoy el roadmap. Pero no ponía nada, la verdad, en el Star Citizen, en This Week in Star Citizen no ponía nada de Central Roadmap, así que no os hagáis ilusión. Puede que no lo actualicen. Posible que no. Gracias, Green7. Que sea leve ese curro.
Starting. Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome
everybody.
back to Star Citizen Live. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. If you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's a new year. It's a new.
Hablando de que lleva una camiseta de Star Wars, van a anunciar un juego nuevo de Star Wars hecho por Ubisoft y LucasArts o algo así, una colaboración. Y bueno, pues a ver qué sale de ahí. Parece que lo van a hacer con el motor de Division. No sé cómo saldrá, ya veremos a ver.
Some are more helpful than others. Sometimes we have Jeremiah on the show.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay
It's
when that
great.
happens. Joining us on the show this week are members of our character art teams. Let's introduce them now. We have got. Oh, that's the wrong screen. Hold on. We broke down everything on the
Oh no.
dirt.
We have problems already? Oh boy.
Yep. There it is. See? We have everybody. This is in my living room, and I broke it down over the holidays. I took the break to not have a giant computer and workstation in the middle of my living room. So when I hooked it back up, apparently I swapped the monitors. Streaming 101. Chance, because I like you more. Why don't you tell people
Wow.
who you are and what you do for Star Citizen?
Yeah, I'm Chance Rowe. I'm the character art director. Happy to be on.
He's
Yeah.
the character
Bueno,
artist.
dice, soy el director de arte y feliz de estar aquí y fuera, a vivir.
There we go.
And Jeremiah, do your thing.
Do what?
Do whatever you're going to do.
Hello. I'm Jay Lee. I am the lead concept artist of Cloud Imperium Games, the LA studio, and Jared and I are dating.
Soy Jay Lee, bueno, no sé qué, no sé cuánto de... Ya sabéis de lo que se dedica, ¿no? Y dice, Jared y yo estamos teniendo citas, o sea, quedamos, o sea, en plan de rollo novios y tal.
All right. This week's show. Obviously, we've been off for a while. It's going to take us a little bit to get into the swing of things. What we're doing this week's show is we are talking about all things character art team related. As usual, we put a thread up on Spectrum and let people submit their questions and vote up which ones they want to see answered most. Because we are talking to the character art team and not what is often referred to as the actor featured.
Bueno, comenta lo de siempre, ¿no? Que si queréis enviar preguntas y todo eso, pues se pueden hacer a través del chat de directo, pero que sean relacionadas con la materia que están tratando, ¿no?
Feel, how they work. So questions about when will this armor be able to do this, or when will this, that stuff for the actor feature team. So we save those and we throw them into the pot when we have those guys on. So if you're watching live on Twitch right now, you can submit your questions in the chat by prefacing your question with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That's going to help members of our community management team pull it out from the various chat that's going on, and they'll send them on to me, and we'll work those into the show along the way. But as we usually do, let's start things off with questions from the chat with our number one most voted up question. Will there be beards?
¿Habrá barbas? La pregunta más votada.
Eventually.
Eventualmente sí habrá barbas.
Right now, we're working on updating a lot of what you see in the character customizer in the PU in Star Citizen. We have really nice looking new hair that was first done for our squadron characters, and we're in the process of really just
Dice que ahora mismo están actualizando lo que es la personalización de personajes para el universo persistente y que ahora mismo pues están trabajando, ¿no?, en el tema del pelo, de traer el pelo que vimos en Escuadrón 42 para que pueda ser elegible ese tipo de calidad de pelo para lo que es la personalización del personaje en el PU.
What we've discussed, and again, discussed, is there'll probably be varieties to pick, not necessarily facial hair that grows and all this stuff, but like a beard, a mustache, other things that you'll be able to choose through and pick and customize your character. It's just for us, we need to get to the hair first. So that's going to be our first step, and then eventually. So.
Dice que han tenido discusiones acerca de si se va a personalizar hasta el punto de tal o que puedas escoger elecciones predefinidas. De todas formas, que dice que tienen que resolver primero el tema del pelo, de hacer un pelo mejor, como el que vimos en la demo de Escuadrón 42. Y bueno, que a partir de ahí, pues eventualmente habrá el tema de barbas.
And the beards
Y
actually
bigotes y
use the
demás.
same, very similar setup to the hair, and so they'll look really sweet. It's just we need better looking hair. The PU is very outdated with the hairs. I know the players have been wearing our old hair for how many years now, and so once we get that looking sweet, looking up to the standard that Chance
está diciendo que lo que vemos ahora mismo en el PU con el tema del pelo, que está bastante desactualizado con lo que están trabajando, y que bueno, que cuando suban el PU a los estándares de lo que están trabajando ellos, pues entonces veremos el tema de la barba y el pelo salir de otra manera, ¿no?
Hairs and leave everything else
right
untouched. That doesn't really make a very cohesive look for anything. And we also didn't want to just give you a couple hairstyles and then tear everything else out, because then there's no choice, right? You have 3 things to pick from or something. That's not great either. So for us, we need to make enough varieties of hairstyles where you've got some choices to both male and female hairstyles, and there should be something there to pick. So that's kind of for us is finding out when we have enough hair, when it's going to be the right time to do the full update for the character.
Claro, también está diciendo de que ahora mismo no tendría sentido poner 2 o 3 opciones nada más para poder escoger el pelo, que quieren esperar al momento de que tengan pues un buen puñado de variantes, y en ese momento es cuando actualizarán el pelo que vemos ahora mismo del personaje, ¿no?
It's like you could have all the really bad looking ones, like you know what, if you kill this Vandal out somewhere, you can get the retro pack.
I thought you were going to suggest that one of the default heads should just be Jared.
I mean, there is that option. Jared is retro.
He is kind of retro, I guess. Yeah.
He's a definition.
Quieren poner allá descamación de pelo, que Jared es retro. ¿Cómo se meten con él? Sonrisas.
So the question was about beards, and it went to hair primarily because hair is the priority before beards. You know, but the very next question, the second most voted on question in the thread was, how is the hair tech coming? So we've talked a little bit about the priorities there, but let's talk about the progress that we've actually made over the last months, years, stuff like that. The stuff James Koo is doing.
¿Cómo viene estando la tecnología realmente de pelo? Que nos hable un poco del progreso que han hecho, que nos muestren algo, ¿no?
So the first step was really finalizing our proprietary hair tools so that the creation of these things is, seamless start to finish for the artists here, as well as, getting the hair shader to be able to do all sorts of different hair colors and look good. And it took some time. The good news is we got all that done. And after we got it all done, one of our artists, our principal character artist in LA, James Koo, went and recorded tutorials of how to use the tool, how to make hair from start to finish, which has been super helpful to roll that out to other artists as well as some of our external vendors. So now everyone is up to speed on that. And the good news about that is it means our bandwidth to create hairs went up dramatically. And so that is that.
Me están hablando de que el estado actual del tema del desarrollo de cabello viene siendo de que han estado, o sea, era necesario crear las herramientas y los nuevos shaders y que los colores con los nuevos shaders encajaran bien. La buena noticia es que todo eso está terminado y que de hecho pues uno de sus líderes de personajes, ¿no? del equipo de personajes en Los Ángeles ha estado grabando videotutoriales y para que el resto para que el resto de artistas puedan entender cómo funciona la tecnología y las herramientas que están utilizando para hacer el pelo y que su creación de pelo o de estilos de pelo o de trabajar en ese sentido ha crecido drásticamente. O sea que está en una buena posición ahora mismo con respecto a eso.
You can't just hand the tool to a bunch of people in the studio in different studios, be like, use it. It works. It's like they have to learn it, and they have to bring their own individual skill with that tool, up. I imagine the first couple is as wonderful as the tool is. The first couple things that
Claro, está diciendo Discolando que no simplemente cuando entregas una tecnología nueva, una herramienta nueva, es entregarla y ya está, y que la gente se ponga a trabajar, que tienes que explicar y que la gente se ponga con sus habilidades, su skill personal, que la eleve para poder manejar la herramienta de forma adecuada, ¿no? Hay un proceso.
About actually our hair, like oh my, what am I saying? The hair tool actually a little bit, just like
yeah.
the pull. Okay, so 2 years ago when we showed it was 2 years ago, right? When we showed the Squadron trailer, was it?
It depends on
2 years
which one you're
ago?
talking about.
The most recent one, where we show Henry Cavill, the one where we show Henry Cavill at the very end. It's like 2 years ago, right?
I don't know. Time is a loop at this point. Just move on.
I don't know. But like when we did that trailer, we were doing that was like pretty much the beginning of when we were starting.
Estaba hablando de cuando enseñaron el tráiler de Escuadrón 42, que ellos no se acuerdan de cuándo era, pero creo que fue en el 2019. En el 2019 nos enseñaron el tráiler de Escuadrón 42 en el que participaba Henry Cavill, que estaba, bueno, el actor de Superman, que estaba a bordo de una F8 y decía Tal is on me, y que ese fue el principio, ¿no? de la nueva fase de creación de pelo, digamos, por esa época.
Still be playable in the game, because we don't want how some games they might have like the main character and that character has hair and everyone else is bald. Like we can't have that, right? So we tried to come up with a bunch of techniques, and that went through a lot of different artists. We also had a lot of people who were trained from other companies as well. Trained in like James Koo comes from he did a lot of like VFX stuff for TV shows and also for film as well. So he brought his knowledge as well. And so we were kind of trying to make this hair.
Están hablando de que James, la persona esta que está encargada de hacer los tutoriales en el EAL, encargado de hacer los tutoriales, que tiene un bagaje anterior de haber trabajado en shows de televisión y del cine y que trajo esos conocimientos consigo. Y que también tienen que tener en cuenta que a la hora de hacer el pelo no pueden tener un personaje con un pelo espectacular y perfecto y el resto con 4 pelos mal puestos. O sea que tienen que hacer un equilibrio a la hora del rendimiento que tenga lo que es el pelo del personaje. De hecho, no sé si os acordáis de la famosa tecnología que había de Nvidia para el pelo cuando salió el Tomb Raider, que aquello iba a pedales. O sea, tenías que tener un pepino de la NASA para mover el pelo de Lara Croft, ¿no?
Back and forth. We flew out Nico and Rob Dickerson out here multiple times, and they were just it was the character artist and the two of them. They were in like this room in the corner of the old studio, the studio, and they were just cramming like every single day, just kind of like I remember like Nico had his head in his hands. He's like, I don't know how to do it. So like, but we finally got it there through a lot of hard work and dedication. And the hair, I wish we could show you, but I don't want to spoil anything. I want, like, when it's in your hands, I want the players to be like, oh my god, the hair looks great, and the hair looks absolutely phenomenal. And when Chance and I, when we look at the hair in the PU, we just kind of like we shudder now when we look at it. But once we get just like once we get a list of hairs, especially for Squadron 42, this has got to look really good. We can easily port that over to the PU. And that is the...
Ya está comentando bueno, que el resultado que tienen ahora de pelo que es bastante impactante, bastante espectacular, sobre todo comparándolo con lo que tenemos ahora mismo en el PO actualmente. Y que cuando hagan las diferentes variaciones que están haciendo para Escuadrón 42, que es fácilmente portable ese pelo a lo que sería el PO.
The hair pipeline, like what, 3 artists knew how to do it. And then the other 15 were like, what about us? And so like we spent a good 6 to 7 months training a majority of the character team. And we've gotten some new hires recently as well. And we give them some time, ramp up time to teach them that. So like the setup was long, but it's super worth it. And I'm super excited. I can't wait for the players to get it.
Yeah, it's been said before, but because Squadron 42 is the priority of so much, especially on the character
Me dice
team,
que el setup, o sea,
and because Squadron 42 is in the heart of the military.
La configuración que fue tediosa y tal, bueno, más que tediosa, que fue larga, fue mucho curro, pero que la recompensa es elevada por el resultado que han obtenido, ¿no?
Focus on that stuff first.
Otra vez refiriéndose al
I
pelo,
don't think
claro.
there's anybody on the character team, if I'm allowed to speak for your team, just from what I've spoken to, who isn't super chomping at the bit to get as many varied and interesting hairstyles into the game as possible. All right, that's a lot of time on hair. Clothes.
Ropa.
When will clothes for female characters catch up to their male counterparts? At the moment, there are many, many clothes available in the shops that only work for male characters. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so I mean, our
Bueno, que ahora mismo la ropa encaja muy bien en el varón, pero a la mujer no le queda demasiado bien la ropa, ¿no? Dice que cuando aparecerá una variedad que encaje con los estándares de una mujer, ¿no? En ropa.
We are currently working on that backlog and getting all those the female versions in. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of pieces.
Dice que están trabajando en ello, que traerán la ropa a los estándares o versiones para la mujer, pero que simplemente es muchísimo trabajo.
Kind of one of the great things about like all these locations coming up and all these new, all this stuff coming that's brand new. We have to obviously make NPCs for that, all that new stuff. Because of that, it means that we got to move that stuff up. It'd be a shame to release new landing zones and not have, proper NPCs in those zones. So that's why we have to tackle that stuff, now. But we have that backlog and we were going to address that, over time. It's hard to put a date on.
Dice que ahora mismo una de las prioridades es con las nuevas zonas de aterrizaje vendan, poner personajes que cumplan con los estándares de esas zonas, que sería un desastre, una vergüenza, ¿no? No cumplir las expectativas al sacar esas zonas de aterrizaje sin NPCs que encajen adecuadamente con el entorno. Y que bueno, que esa es la prioridad, pero que también tienen en cuenta, está como adherido, ¿no? El hecho de que tienen que trabajar en la ropa para el personaje femenino.
So,
yeah,
tech debt is real.
yeah.
I
mean, like because the thing is, like, a lot of the fans that have been following the project for quite a long time know
El
that
idea
the
es
female
sobre
version and
los
male
personajes,
version are completely different, and we don't scale rig
diseño de
because
personajes.
there are other games when there's an item like let's see, I can like use my phone, right? They'll just reach their hand out and it'll snap to their hand. For our game, our characters actually reach out and grab the item. So scaling the rig would scale the mocap data. So the female though has a different height than the male, and the entire company on the art side had to do a lot of smart work to make sure that the female characters could actually reach out and do the same things that the male counterparts could. And the thing is, while animation, oh my goodness, animation, they had to go through thousands of animations. While they were doing that, we couldn't stop the character team from producing assets. And so we were like, we still need to make clothes for the players in the PU. And so we made a lot of clothes. I think we brought all the armors, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong though, so that both male and female can have both the same armor. But for clothes, I remember we made well, I'll almost use my swear budget, a crap ton of clothing. And then when the female player got in, we were like, oh my goodness, we have hundreds of assets to make, but then we still have new requests for new landing zones
Yeah.
for
Claro, está comentando de que cuando fue todo el tema del personaje femenino, que tuvieron que hacer una gran cantidad de trabajo para que el personaje femenino pudiese alcanzar las cosas, interactuar con las cosas, porque las dimensiones entre el varón y la mujer son distintos. Bueno, de hecho hay las míticas imágenes de brazos estirados de la mujer de forma descarada y demás. Y claro que cuando empezaron a trabajar en todo lo que es la ropa y demás, que tenían toneladas y toneladas de ropa y de cosas, ¿no? Miles de cosas. Y luego, pues, cuando salió el personaje femenino, pues se dieron cuenta de que también tenían que hacer las versiones femeninas, que es muchísimo curro. Y al mismo tiempo también tenían peticiones para las nuevas zonas de aterrizaje de crear nuevos recursos. Y que pues los equipos tenían que seguir trabajando, ¿no? Esto lo que quiere decir es que si bien tienen en cuenta el tema del personaje femenino, de que tienen que avanzar, el personaje femenino también tiene que avanzar en el proyecto en general y por tanto el ponerse o sea, el ponerse a la altura, el que la mujer se ponga a la altura en ese sentido de tener las ropas y todo lo que necesita, pues lleva su tiempo, ¿no? Porque hay otras prioridades ahora mismo que es que el juego siga avanzando.
An example being a small personal scanner on the shoulder or something while exploring.
Chance, you want this one or?
I'll start. You can.
I can go on a tirade about this.
So this is really probably best as a design question. So but what I can speak to is something that we are very actively working on right now with design, and that is new armors that do have specific roles. So there's archetypes that we're working on, like specialist. We have combat already quite a bit. We're working on ideas for support as well as utility, and that is something that we're looking at what design wants to do. We're getting in there with lore, making sure the manufacturer's correct, the look and feel of it's correct, and all this. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be defined in there that we definitely want to have these specific armors that have these specific purposes, but it's really a matter of like prioritizing which ones give us the best the best things first and stuff, and that's it's being worked on. As far as to the modularity thing, that one's still unclear, and again, more of a design thing for us. If that's something design says that they want, we will have that conversation.
Yeah. You mentioned that's a design question. That's one of those things we talked about earlier that's really for the actor feature team.
Está hablando un poco de las armaduras para diferentes propósitos, diferentes roles y todo el tema de futuros componentes de armaduras, que dice que bueno, que eso es un tema más de diseño y tal, y que es una charla pendiente que tienen, que ya sabéis que en su momento decían que incluso las armaduras pues iban a tener su planta de potencia, y en el caso de que llevásemos armas de energía, por ejemplo, pues íbamos a ser capaces de que la propia armadura, cargase esos cargadores, si era una armadura de combate o diferentes tipos de armadura, pero que eso es un parte más de diseño que de artistas, ¿no? Aunque tiene que tener esa conversación para pues generar el lore para todo eso, etcétera, que es algo que tienen pendiente.
Just kind of like a TLDR version of answer this question would be, and I've said this for years, there will never be a armor that is considered endgame, where it is the best armor, can do everything, right? That's the same way for ships, same way for guns, same way for armor. There will be armor and modules that would be the best for what it needs to do for that specific gameplay. So you will not get a armor that's best at sneaking, and best at protection, best at hiding sound, best at catching people, best at like there will be like the best armor for.
Claro, está comentando algo muy interesante, que aquí no será tipo World of Warcraft, por ejemplo, que hay tiers de armadura o tal, sino que no va a haber una armadura definitiva en el juego, una armadura que sea del juego final. Dice que habrá componentes o piezas de armadura que sean adecuadas para una situación determinada. No va a haber una armadura que sea la mejor en hacer poco ruido, en el sigiloso, la mejor en cargar cosas o lo que sea, ¿no? Pues lo que sea que vayan a meter. Pero eso, que al final será una cuestión de tener una variedad de elecciones y de posibilidades y de que no va a haber, y que va a ser lo mismo tanto para naves como para armas, que no va a haber un objeto final de juego que te haga que te haga el He-Man, ¿no? El dios del universo.
But like for like there will always be the intent, at least the gameplay is there is always the best armor for a specific thing or specific gameplay, but not the best armor at everything. So I guess yeah, the granularity you can ping Richard Tyler about that. Yeah, don't shoot me.
I'm gonna get email. I'm gonna come online Monday morning with plenty of emails from Rich Tyler.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
All right, here is a commonly recurring question. We've addressed it a couple times over the years, but there's always new people and stuff. Why are there no children? Old people, fat
¿Por qué
people,
no hay
thin
niños,
people, tall people,
gente
short
gorda,
people, and
gente
so
mayor?
on?
¿Por qué no hay eso en el juego?
The verse just seems very uniform at the moment.
El verso es muy uniforme ahora mismo, sí.
Yeah, as far as children, that is a choice. We don't want children in a game where people are running around with guns and knives and there's violence and things. That's not what we're creating. So don't expect that. As far as different body types, that is something that we would like to have. I think that absolutely that's cool.
Dice que no habrá niños donde haya armas, cuchillos y tal alrededor de ellos y tal, que no quieren ese tipo de imagen en el juego.
Right. So, it allows our game to have all those things look very seamless, where the people pick up things and interact with things correctly, and that is a limitation of it, is that you also get a set height right now. So, and so yes, the body types, that would be cool. I mean, we would love to work into that. The children, nope. And as far as the size of people, it's a limitation of the size of the rigs.
Yeah, I want to add that the rigs.
Bueno,
The reason we went with the unified rig is there are so many benefits that it gets us. It's what allows the characters to push all the buttons in the spaceships. Coming up with the new physicalized dashboard. It's what allows people to pick everything up off the bar stools and stuff like that. It gains us a whole lot of things. It does come with a trade-off, just like most things in game development do. It's like statting a character in a D&D game. You can't put 20s down the line. If you're gonna put all your points in dexterity, you're gonna have to take them out from somewhere. So one of the things that we lose is variable height on the character. So I think
dice que a la hora del diseño en el que está el juego pensado, de que bueno, pues para poder interactuar con las cosas físicamente y tal, que es pues un poco como un juego de rol, ¿no? Que tú en un juego de rol, si quieres pues un personaje que sea de agilidad, pues tienes que ponerle los puntos en destreza y pierdes otras cosas a cambio. Pues en el caso del juego, si quieres tener que el personaje interactúe y agarre las cosas correctamente, pues si bien es una cosa buena que haya un tamaño estándar, es lo que sacrificamos a cambio pues es la variedad de estaturas y de tamaños de cuerpo. Que a él le encantaría poder trabajar comentaba el director de carácter, o sea, de personajes, que le encantaría poder trabajar en eso, pero que está ese limitante, ¿no?
That is just kind of like customizability. Like it's always a thing. Like the more bespoke you make it, it'll be harder for it to be for customization. And then if the more customization that you bring, the less unique and how do you say more bespoke things. It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah, it's weird. In order to gain the increased customization, you actually have to make some things more generic.
Yes, that's the.
It's weird.
That is
Claro,
been
dice
the
que es una cosa
biggest
rara que
challenge for the
o sea, para tú conseguir personalización de ciertas cosas, necesitas hacer algunas otras cosas más genéricas, ¿no? Todo el tema de, pues eso, de cómo vamos a interactuar con el personaje, cómo saber cómo interactúa, pues viene de la mano, de momento, de esa limitación de tamaños de personajes, o que no sea uno gordo o delgado, que sea un tamaño estándar.
Saying the word bespoke.
I love bespoke.
There's like fidelity,
It's just so good.
and then there's immersion, and then somewhere
bespoke.
around there, right under that is bespoke.
But like, I mean, I'm an artist myself. I love doing just crazy things that are unique to it, and it just for that one thing. And a lot of artists feel the same way. But customization is part of the gameplay of Star Citizen. And so
Claro,
design and character team, we've kind of come to an
dice Lee
agreement.
que él como artista, que le encanta hacer cosas únicas y demás, y seguro que otros artistas también que trabajan en el equipo se sientan de la misma manera, pero la personalización de la que estamos hablando, ¿no? Pues viene con esas restricciones.
We're working on.
Okay.
I got the space cow right over here.
I can say we are working on some stuff with creatures. It's actually some different creatures. I can say that. I think we're working on some other stuff right now that is exciting in the creature space. It's not currently the space cow. It's some other stuff. I don't know if I can get it up. I'll leave it at that.
It's a space something.
They're all space somethings.
Dice que están trabajando en criaturas que no son las vacas espaciales, pero que es espacio algo. Son algo del espacio, pero no pueden dar más detalles de momento, parece ser. O lo dejan ahí, ¿no?
Actually, the Xion is coming along quite nicely. It's past the concept stage and into modeling right now and looking really cool. So they're doing a lot of stuff on that. There's some work being done on the facial rig and how that all animates and everything and how that looks good. It's the challenge, of course, with non-human characters. Once you get the facial animation, like it's not quite as straightforward as a human. So we're working on that right now and making sure that they.
Con respecto a la raza Xian, dice que están digamos, en las fases finales de arte, parece ser. O sea, que han avanzado bastante. Y que, bueno, que uno de los retos es la animación facial, pues al no ser humanos, los gestos faciales que tienen que ser diferentes, ¿no? Es como un reto.
Like with Xion, for example, that does it. There are some things that do come up when you have characters who aren't the same size, and so that's actually something that is we're actively discussing. Like, what do we do? How do we deal with this? Because it's one thing, for them to be featured in Squadron in a, here they are and they do this thing and that thing. It opens up a whole bunch of conversations about, okay, well, what happens when they're in the PU? Like, can they fly every ship? How do we account for this if they're not the same size? And obviously they have a.
Claro, uno de los temas a los que se van a enfrentar, y que dice que por cierto que los Xian lucen bastante impresionantes, es el tema de los diferentes tamaños, de que surjan muchas conversaciones del estilo de van a poder volar en las naves, cómo van a resolver eso, que es un temita, ¿no? Por lo que comentaban antes de los diferentes tamaños.
The Tevrin, on the concept side.
I'm sorry, how are you saying that?
Tavarin.
Isn't it Tavarin?
Sorry.
Did you say Tevrin?
Tavarin.
I just wanted to give you crap.
All right.
Madre mía.
The Tavarin. We've I think the last time we worked on it was quite a while back, around the Prowler.
Mm-hmm.
When we released the Prowler, we did some concept support on that. It has taken a little bit of a backseat on the concept side, a bit. We wanted to flesh it out even further. We have a generalized look, but we were like, okay, I think this needs its own specific time, and the Xion was a little bit higher on the priority list, so we kind of like focused more on that.
Está hablando sobre los Tevarin que como que han pasado un poco a segundo plano, que trabajaron un poco cuando fue la liberación de la Prowler, que tienen una idea general de lo que quieren que sea, más o menos, que tienen pues eso, indicios de cómo quieren que va a ser, pero que necesitan su tiempo y que los Xian ahora mismo eran prioridad.
Then the T-Varin. Hi, Dave.
Let's see, look at the chat here. Wear and tear. Any updates? Anything you tell us on the status of wear and tear on armors or normal clothes or anything that the character wears?
You want me to get the wrong? Yeah, I can get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Chance is so polite. Chance is so polite. It's like you want.
Well, we have to balance. Jeremiah and I have to balance, right?
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like if he's constantly trolling you and giving you shit and everything. Like I have to be good
swear
cop,
jar. Right? Oh, you used your swear budget for the day, Chance.
Oh, did he? I missed it.
He just said it.
Wear and tear. Yes, that is the plan. that's definitely something that we would like. We have been working on some stuff as far as the shader goes, as far as the wear and dirt, dynamic wear and dirt, and we made some actually recent progress on some of that stuff where we had a wear and dirt that had been kind of in a state of broken for a bit. We've been making some progress on getting that functionality back, where you'll be able to, the artist can dial in like, this is the default level of wear and dirt on this particular asset, and then over time, it goes farther. So yeah, we've been digging into that right now, actually.
Cool. Back
Bueno,
in 381.
que el tema del deterioro de la ropa y la suciedad, que están haciendo progresos en eso y que están trabajando en eso. Y ya está.
There were a couple that looked all right. There were a couple that. Are there any plans to be able to officially wear armor without an undersuit?
Can I answer this, Chance? Can I answer this
you
one?
take that one.
Okay. All right. Let me roll up my sleeves on this one. So the system that we have in place right now is clothing has its own system with its own setup, and the armor has its own system with its own setup. There's a lot of reasonings for this. The armor in particular is for the going outside into EVA, the EVA capability of the undersuit, and also breathing and oxygen, power, all the fun stuff that Rich's team brought in last year. Right now, clothing does not have that, and so we cannot put the two together. However, I have talked about this with Rich and JJ on the active feature team, which is combat clothing. So it is like armor and protection that you would wear, not necessarily out in space, but if you were, I don't know, there could be a player that wants to wear armor on the ground and will always stay on the ground, right? So there are talks about that, and so we could potentially.
Pero están hablando de si va a haber alguna posibilidad de llevar armaduras sin necesidad de llevar el undersuit. Entonces dice que, bueno, que el undersuit, la ropa y las armaduras tienen sus propios sistemas y que no se puede, digamos, pero que están teniendo charlas acerca de que haya ropa que efectivamente sea, o sea, que haya armadura que no sea con el propósito de salir a actividad de actividad extravehicular, de salir en EVA. O sea, que para aquellas personas que están viendo charlas, ¿no? Para aquellas personas pues, que quieren hacer su vida en tierra y que no quieran hacer nada del espacio y que quieran llevar esa armadura en tierra, ¿no? Y que podría ser una opción.
The players could do on the ground side, not in space, where you could put on a trench coat and then, or put on a poncho, and then have as a jacket item, and then have the clothing armor underneath it. So we would like to, and we're in talks.
Give me an armored poncho, man. Give me an armored poncho.
Yeah. But armor.
Están hablando
right
de.
now,
Está Derek pidiendo de un armored poncho, ¿no? De un poncho blindado. Bueno, el caso, que están hablando de la posibilidad de ponerse un poncho por encima y llevar ropa con armadura debajo y demás. Que es algo que les gustaría traer. Y bueno. Pero es una conversación en progreso, no es algo que se vaya a hacer ahí ya seguro.
From what I know.
Que para mí el llevar una armadura, o sea, las armaduras que llevamos ahora con una capa por encima, eso sería espectacular.
With the information that I have, those won't cross, but then to counter it, combat clothing. That is something that we're talking about. Yeah.
All right.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about some body modifications. Aside from cybernetic prosthetics, what are the plans for things like tattoos, scarring, implants?
¿Cuáles son los planes para tatuajes, implantes, cicatrices?
It's being discussed. We don't have any like locked in final plans of like this is how we'd want to feature it. We're talking about that. We were also discussing the ideas for cybernetics. How would that happen? Like what like it. We're all excited about it. It's all definitely cool. Just the question is, how do we implement it? Where is it? Like, is it something you just get right out of the character? Would we want it right out of the character creator, or does that make it not as special? Is it something? No, actually, you got to go do this and this and this in the game to be able to access it. Like, is that cooler? Like, those are the types of conversations.
Claro, que han tenido conversaciones en plan de ¿se podrá hacer a través del personaje o tendrás que hacer algo in-game para que sea algo más exclusivo, que te dé algún tipo de de trabajo, ¿no? Entonces es algo en lo que están mirando de resolver, que no hay nada fijado, detallado a ese respecto, de cicatrices o tatuajes, ¿no?
In general, because you guys have seen in the Squadron trailer, there is Vat Tagaka, and he's got this massive tattoo on both of his arms. That is actually on the diffuse map, so that on the albedo map. So that is actually painted on the actual texture of his skin, right? The reason why we did that was, I remember this so clearly because I hand drew every single tattoo of Tatagaka, and that was fun. But I remember we tried to make it a decal, where kind of like how we have decals on armor, where you have like the numbers or the little things, and also on ships. The problem was that it didn't look like skin. It looked like we tried to get it as close as we could. It just didn't feel real. And tattoos, when I concepted it, I did it in Photoshop first, and it just didn't feel right. So I actually tattoos on skin almost has like a little bit of a graphite feel, because especially with like the gradation and stuff. So I actually hand drew it on a pencil, did a couple of those, scanned them in, and then touched them on Photoshop. And then I realized I had a pencil brush in Photoshop and just did it in Photoshop anyway. But we tried putting it as a decal, and it just didn't feel like it was actually.
Claro, está diciendo que estuvieron haciendo tatuajes para personajes de la demo de corte vertical y tal, que tenían tatuajes y tal, pero que no. Pero que eso estaba incrustado en la piel, o sea, que era parte de la piel. Pero que hacer un decal, o sea, algo que se pusiera por encima, una calcomanía, vamos a llamarlo así, pues que se sentía como un graffiti. Que no se sentía como un tatuaje, en el resultado no quedaba bien, ¿no?
And whenever Death of the Spaceman actually is in full implementation, we have to do scarring and implants and like body modifications. But until then, yeah, we'll see what.
Claro, dice cuando la muerte del espacio y cuando la muerte en el espacio sea una realidad y demás, tendrán que hacer cicatrices y partes biónicas, ¿no? Modificaciones al implantes y demás. Pero que de momento que ya veremos, ¿no? Que de momento que no quede como que más para adelante habrá que pensar en eso.
There's an ordered operations there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else do we got from the chat. Will you add medical uniforms when medical gameplay comes around later this year, or comes around this year?
Puedes añadir uniformes médicos cuando
mining and cargo hauling uniforms, basically just various profession uniforms. I'm
sí
guessing.
va a haber uniformes de profesión.
We are working on them.
Estamos trabajando en ello, vale.
No, there are things in concept right now that we are working on. We were just looking at some of that stuff very like this week. So yeah, we are making sure those things are getting done, and just making sure that like we have the correct ones for the different landing zones and all that's appropriate. We fill in all those things. But yeah, that's we are working on it right now.
Dice que ahora mismo están trabajando en tener pues diferentes trajes para las diferentes profesiones en las diferentes zonas de aterrizaje y que están trabajando esta semana ya, que se están trabajando en ello, o sea, que están ya en ello discutiendo y debatiendo para llevarlo a cabo, ¿no?
Because new stuff is coming, and yeah, it would be really silly if we came out with a hospital and we didn't have the appropriate clothes for people to be wearing, right? So that's why that stuff has to come first. So
I don't know what you mean. I think it'd be a great idea if you just passed out and then you woke up and some guy in heavy armor is like, "I'm here to take your temperature." Like, I think that's amazing. Sorry.
Can't help yourself, can you?
Bueno, dice que sería de puta madre y tal. Porque le dice que le tienen que dar prioridad al tema de las armaduras médicas para cuando saquen los hospitales ahora. Y dice Lee que sería la hostia, ¿no? El tener un tío con armadura pesada y diciendo, estoy aquí para tomar tu temperatura y tal. Y se descojona el fulano.
Module that maybe attaches to different armors.
Is that somebody in our meeting this morning?
Yep. Someone was in our meeting this morning.
No, we were actually going over backpack concepts in a meeting this morning and discussing just those very things about plans for that. When they would come out, what the functionality would be, how they would relate, how do we make sure that the backpacks we're creating look good on all of our existing armors, which ones we need to make. But yeah, that is very, very current, like this morning. So
literally a couple hours ago.
What else we got? see a couple people bringing up the holographic subscriber helmet with the skull that we showed back in
Se
2019.
esconde. Están preguntando
I'll go ahead.
sobre el casco holográfico que tenía la calavera dentro.
The for the some of you know, some of you don't know. For the last half of 2019 and for the first and for all of 2020, one of my moonlight side jobs was running the subscriber program, and that was one of those. And that was one of the things that Jeremiah and I pushed for to get into the program and stuff like that. We absolutely still want it. It's just that it requires a new graphics shader because using the hologram tech that we have right now works great for ships. Like you saw it at IAE and stuff like that, and it looks great for that stuff. But what the visceral experience we want in the helmets, it wasn't quite there. So we need some additional work from the graphics team.
Vale, está diciendo que tanto Jeremiah como Jared han estado tratando de empujar el tema del casco, como ya sabemos que Discolando es el encargado de ese tema. Pero que se requiere la creación de un nuevo shader para poder hacer ese casco, para que se vea bien, aunque hayamos visto hologramas en la IAE y demás en naves que no queda de la misma manera, que no queda unos estándares adecuados, ¿no?
Other things that need to happen first. So it's still on the list.
Y todavía está en la lista ese casco.
And you know, a big shout out to the graphics guys because recently they gave us a ton of stuff that is coming for characters that make all characters look better. So in the grand scheme of things, would we love our hologram shader? Yes, of course. But when we get things that some of these updates that are coming for characters, all of them got better. We had some stuff that just kind of bugs, other things that we've been asking for a long time. We got a lot of stuff from them over the last month or so that is really, we're very excited about for characters because these aren't things just make this character look good. All of the characters are going to look better because of the stuff that we've got. So
Me parece que están llegando cosas nuevas por el tema del equipo técnico de desarrollo, ¿no? de Star Citizen, y parece ser que los personajes van a mejorar un montón. Ganas de verlo. Dice que parece bastante entusiasmado al respecto, ¿no? De que van a mejorar todos los personajes un montón en Star Citizen.
Stay tuned. We'll make sure I'll keep pushing for the hologram skull helmet. But she got some other stuff coming for you that is pretty cool coming down the line. So I can get back to my video stuff. Will characters age?
¿Envejecerán los personajes?
Okay, so this is actually a great question. This is more of a Todd Pappy, Rich Tyrer, Chris Roberts question.
Es una pregunta más dedicada a Todd Pappy o a Chris Roberts.
But if we were to go with the Death of the Spaceman, technically you would, you wouldn't age necessarily, but you would deteriorate. Your body would deteriorate, and as time progresses, your actual character would die, and then your next of kin would pick up. It's kind of like a little refresh. So as it stands right now, I don't think we have anything in the game to have characters age. However, we do have the that DNA head pool, and we do have some heads that we haven't put into the DNA head pool, and there are a lot of older men and women that we have scanned and that we can plug in. So we could potentially use like a slider to bring in some of those wrinkles and stuff like that. That would require a lot of setup and some on the tech side. That would be more of Sean's department. We haven't gotten a request from up top from design to implement that type of thing. I think there could be some solutions to do that. I have like one or two in my head that I could theorize that we could potentially do that. But as it stands, no. Just
Qué troll.
you.
Nada, se acaba de soltar una charla enorme y tal diciendo de que bueno, que eso sería un tema de Todd y de Chris para preguntar, ¿no? Pero que sí que es cierto que tienen algunos recursos escaneados de gente de más avanzada edad y que en un principio que no han tenido ninguna petición a ese respecto, pero sí que se le ocurren algunas soluciones para poder traer eso, y que según La muerte del espacio, el documento este de Chris Roberts y tal, lo que se habló hace poco, el tema de la muerte y demás, que podría producirse un deterioro en el código genético o alguna manera, o deterioro en el cuerpo, y tener que sustituir ese cuerpo por un clon, ¿no? Como hemos visto. Y bueno, que de momento, pues la respuesta sería que no, de momento, que no se va a envejecer. De ahí lo que diga el troll, que después de soltar todo esto diga que no. O sea, que él quiere, por un lado, que eso se produzca, pero de momento no hay nada al respecto, ¿no? Simplemente no se sabe. O sea, pero yo creo que, según dice, pues que en principio no está considerándose.
Like the medical. Okay, Dave's gonna kill me, but you know what? YOLO. I
No.
think I have talked to him about it before. I think there were we were talking about this before on the death of the spaceman type of thing, where we were saying that the medical technology has advanced so far that they would kind of like can I bring up a movie title? Is that okay with legal? Is it okay?
If you take your swear budget and use it for that, I'm okay.
Okay, you know what? Sunboat soldier. Sunboat soldier.
What are you doing? I don't
The
understand.
movie with a bunch of bugs. A good bug is a dead bug. Okay, that one. Remember, there's that scene where like they're like
You can say
repairing him.
You can say Starship Troopers. Phil Martin, who did that whole movie, has done like 12 spaceships for us.
Yeah. Okay. Starship
alright.
Troopers. Yeah. Okay. With Rico. Remember Rico's in that tank and they're like putting him back together and stuff. Anyways, so the idea for that med bed.
Es que estaba preguntando si podía se podía hacer una peli de bichos para hacer una referencia que está haciendo y tal. O sea, si podía hacer la peli de Starship Troopers. Estaba dando un rollo de la hostia. Y para hacer una referencia a Discolando. Y Discolando dice, ¿qué puedes decir Starship Troopers? Déjame en paz.
And there wouldn't be enough
Qué grande.
biomaterial for the bed to regrow, which would then require like cybernetics or for you to eventually just die, right? So I think that part's kind of cool, and that kind of plays in with like the delaying of age is just because we'd be just reusing the DNA. So I think people would age a lot less just because we have more DNA to play with. I think. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Let's move on, Sunboat Soldier.
A good bug is a dead bug.
Will it be possible to customize armor in the future, like changing colors, insignia, stuff like that?
¿Será posible personalizar armadura en el futuro, cambiar colores y demás?
That has not been discussed. What we are doing for all the new armors as we make them, though, is right out of the gate we're going to offer material variants for many of them when we can, so that you will have different choices. The other thing that actually something Jared brought up a while back that we've now made sure of is in the past there was helmets that came out and had a particular color that didn't really match anything exactly. We're trying to fix that now.
14 different shades of yellow.
Yeah, exactly. So our goal going forward is that when we make a new helmet, that we make sure that we'll do a variant of an armor. It might be an existing armor in many cases, but it will match. So you'll be able to go in there. Oh, you like this particular helmet? Great. Well, there is an armor that matches, so you can have a cohesive look. With that, as we make other ones, our plans are that we don't just make another version that's ever so slightly different red than this one. Is actually that you'll be able to, this new helmet, it actually matches this one as well. And so there's more choices. So to start with, there'll be options to pick, not really any discussion yet about like running a color picker and picking whatever you want.
Bueno, con respecto a la personalización de armaduras, que no se ha discutido, pero sí que vas a poder tener diferentes opciones a la hora de escoger y tal, y sobre todo la preocupación de que, bueno, que no sabéis que han salido cascos para suscriptores y demás, o cascos y tal, o cascos por ahí que no tienen un emparejamiento de color con armaduras y que solo lo quieren corregir o crear las variedades para que pues aunque pues un casco tenga un set que vaya acorde con ese casco, ¿no? en cuanto a colores.
In the clothing shops too. This question is
Pero nada de ir con un pincel por ahí pintando, que eso no va a suceder. De momento no ha sido discutido ni nada.
Representing the concept team, I would love for the concept team to concept a bunch of underwears. But as it is right now, the underwear is part of the base body. It's just don't want nudity in our game, so we've given the male and female assets pretty
Me estás
much
diciendo de que el tema del
underwear,
diseño de ropa
undergarments.
interior y tal, y la ropa interior parece que es parte del personaje y quieren que no quieren nudismo en el juego, desnudos en el juego, parece ser.
Part time.
That would be a chance question.
Probably
So
not.
I just draw things.
think-
I would be more than happy to draw lingerie, male and female lingerie.
So yeah, it just comes down to like what's the best use of our time, as Jared mentioned, right? It's like what do we could spend our time on all sorts of things. But we'd like to spend our time on is the best bang for buck for players. You know what I mean? And so for example, like hey, these new armors that have gameplay tied to them. Damn, that seems like an important thing we should be working on, and we're super excited to. So that's really how we're making our choices. It kind of actually goes back to I'll touch on one other thing about the hairstyles. We're obviously squadron is our priority. That's where we first implemented these new hairstyles. When we go and we choose what hair we're doing, we have to pick the ones that actually are on quite a few characters because that updates that many characters look that much better.
Right.
And so, as Jared mentioned, it's a military. A lot of these characters in the military, right? So in the military, you only have so many choices for hairstyles. You don't go there and just pick anything, right? So we are picking the hairstyles first that get the most characters updated that we can. Once we get those done, then it makes sense to get like really, this very unusual hair that is only on maybe one or two characters in Squadron. That's kind of right now how we're prioritizing those things. Again, best bang for buck, best use of time. That's what we're trying to do.
So pretty much Chance is saying beards are more important than underwear.
I was waiting to see how you were going to bring that back around to a question about underwear, but really your answer is about prioritize.
Exactly.
And
Priority.
always working
Priority.
on the thing that
Underwear is not a priority right now.
We should do a poll. We should do a poll: beards or underwear in the game. The people, the voices will be heard. Why do you bring me on this show, Jared? I feel like
I'm not sure either, Jared. I don't know why.
I grew a mustache just so I could be disappointed space dad. Now here, I'm not mad, Jeremiah. I'm just disappointed.
Okay, it's okay. I hear that every day.
Yeah, I bet you do. Let's see. I'm trying to. There's another underwear. I'm trying to skip it.
Pero qué coño.
What have been some of the challenges that you've come across while working on the alien races?
¿Cuáles son algunos de los retos que has tenido cuando trabajaste en las razas alien?
I mean, I could speak on the hardest thing. Was it all challenges, or I'll just say the hardest one was, at least for the concept team and also the character team and animation department and tech anim, which was the facial anims. The body animations
Las animaciones
are
faciales
pretty
son lo más
straightforward.
complicado de los alien.
We just communicate what the anatomy is of the creature or the alien, and pretty much the tech anim guys they're amazing. So they blah blah blah. The problem is speech and expression. And having
el habla y, claro, la conversación y la expresión, que es lo complicado.
It's just lip flaps. They just go ah, bah, 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 and just words come out, right? But then the thing is, for us, we want to make sure that we even put lips on our aliens so that they can actually purse their lips to phonetically, physically, you can see that they're actually phonetically pronouncing.
Claro, que decía que en el caso de Star Citizen, en el caso de muchos juegos que ves que simplemente hacen así para hablar, pero que en el caso de ellos realmente han puesto labios en los aliens y demás, o sea que quieren que pues que hagan expresiones faciales a la hora de hablar para los sonidos y demás, que vocalicen, ¿no?
For is very difficult. For the Vandul, oh my goodness, we spent months just coming up with different expressions of surprise, sad, angry, puffed up.
Que los Vandul que fue de meses, ¿no? De sorpresa, tristeza.
Part, especially when these aliens have speaking lines, and trying to have a human actor have that human actor's expression be applied to a completely different anatomy and have that express the same type of emotion. It's crazy. Crazy.
Claro, el tema de tener un actor humano y aplicar ese mock-up, ¿no? A lo que sería un personaje alien o esas expresiones alien para tratar de mostrar un sentimiento, pero con otro tipo de fisonomía, que es una locura, dice, ¿no? Que fue un proceso bastante, pues, un reto, ¿no?
Pretty high energy from what I remember when I first met you. You knew what you're getting yourself into.
No, that's true.
Now, I disagree with the premise of this question. So, given the drive for immersion, why is there such a heavy push for overly colorful, vivid gear, neons, chromatic gold, etc. in the verse, rather than contextual clothing armor such as camo, subtle hues, etc.? Have you gone outside, whoever you are, person? It's like...
Dice, ¿por qué hay un... ¿por qué hay armaduras tan coloridas que rompen la inmersión? ¿No? ¿Por qué no hay solo camuflaje y demás? Y Jared le dice, pero tú has salido a la calle, has visto los alrededores de Los Ángeles y demás, de cómo viste la peña. No. O sea, a ver, yo que haya una armadura rosa y tal, yo no me la pondría, pero tiene que haberla, porque si no, no saliera realista. O sea, al final es eso. O sea, tiene que haber esos colores chillones o cosas horteras, porque la gente por la calle en la vida real los lleva, o sea. No es algo que vaya a llevar todo el mundo, ya no lo hacen, ¿no? No es algo, o sea, no todo el mundo va vestido de rosa en el verso, pero está y ves a alguna persona.
He wants to have, the super serious, like military gear and this. There should be that choice. Somebody else wants to express himself in a different way and wear something else. You should have that choice. I mean, we want to, this should be a big game that lots of people come to and express themselves in different ways. What's important is we offer that variety. For some people, they enjoy.
Claro, que es
the
importante que
colorful
la
stuff.
gente
Some
pueda
people
expresarse
don't.
como quiera,
It's like you should be able to pick those things.
dar esa
And
posibilidad.
I don't want to say, oh, there's no color in our game, and nope, there's nothing like that, because that's just limiting, and that's not, and that to
Claro, eso
Jared's
sería
point, that's not
limitante.
reality.
Ahí está.
When you walk out and, well, when the world was normal and you were
Yeah.
gatherings of people, you would see, yeah, everyone expressed themselves in a different way, and
Me
I think that's
me rosa la
that's
reviento.
what we strive to
Pero
do.
al final...
Sometimes we want to do something that's
Pero al final la
colorful
tendrá
and,
que haber.
maybe
Igual que
more
una
fun,
crack
but
en
other times
rosa,
it's much
tío,
more
es
serious.
lo que hay.
We should
O
have
sea,
those
no,
choices.
o sea, tú vas a la calle y no
Yeah,
ves,
I
o
think
sea,
just,
ves un Mercedes rosa,
the
yo he visto un Mercedes rosa una vez en mi vida
I'm not
y
talking
ya
about,
está,
like,
pero
the
lo
later-
ves,
the latter end
existe.
of designs when they start
¿no?
plugging in and implementation.
Pero
of
no,
those
la mayoría de
designers,
las
and
cosas
also
no
for
son
everything.
así, pero
Like,
hay esa...
when we set up landing
siempre
zones,
hay
there is
eso,
a
¿no?
palette that we have that we generally put on the landing zone NPCs.
No sé, o
unless
sea,
specifically called
no todo el mundo se viste como Dennis Rodman por la calle o como se vestía, no sé si lo sigue haciendo, o sea, pero existe, o sea, y bueno, es lo que hay. No pasa nada, ¿no?
to make the NPCs feel more grounded and feel like more relevant to the actual location. But like as Chan said, for the players, like you can go in with a pink helmet, green torso, and neon pink pants.
O sea, yo la verdad, el único motivo por el que no me gustaría ver una Kraken rosa no es por el color, sí, o porque no me guste el color. Es porque me resulta molesto a la vista, porque es un color demasiado brillante y es demasiado chillón. Entonces, cuando tú estás en un entorno que es así espacial, que es oscuro, o sea, yo por norma general tengo todo lo que es mi escritorio con colores, con tonos oscuros, el móvil con tonos oscuros, que me resulta mucho menos cansado para la vista que ver algo tan brillante, ¿no? Y claro, si ves una armadura rosa o ves una... O sea, a mí me resulta difícil de observar por el hecho de que prefiero colores más apagados, ¿no? O sea, porque un rosa fuerte, como que es un impacto grande en la vista, ¿no? Y no, o sea, es incómodo, más bien.
I think the overwhelming majority of our assets are still muted and subdued and in line with stuff like
Una
that.
Kraken rosa con plaquitas pegadas.
The color is the
Es que es incómodo de ver,
exception, it's the
porque es
rarity,
muy,
it's the
no sé.
flair.
It's so much easier to spot a player too, especially those bright colors.
As my father would say, if you want to look like Joe Shit the
Independientemente
Ratman,
de que
that's
me
okay,
guste o no
but
me guste,
don't
¿no?
come to my
Me
house.
resulta más incómodo de ver que un color más, no sé.
Did you say shit?
Es igual que
That
un
was
rojo
my
chillón
one.
tampoco
Chance
quedaría
used
muy
his
bien,
one,
¿no?
I used my
I just
one.
use mine.
And you use yours.
And
There
you
go.
use yours on Sunstone Star. I don't remember what it was.
Sunboat Soldier.
Sunboat Soldier. With that, we're done. Everybody, congratulations, Chance. You made
Yay,
it
we
to
did
the
it.
end of your very first Star Citizen Live Roundtable Q&A.
Buenas, Vincent.
How was it? You okay? How you feeling?
Yeah, I survived. It was fine.
You're great. I think you're a good balance to my shenanigans.
Thank you everybody for tuning in and hanging out with us at the end of this week. We'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Inside Star Citizen, and then be back right here again next week for another episode of Star Citizen Live. What will it be about? I honestly don't know yet. I'm still waiting for people
Bueno,
to
dice
answer
que se
my
despiden
emails.
ya, que estarán con otro episodio de
So for
Definitely
Star
not
Star
Citizen
Citizen
Live,
Live, pero que no
definitely
saben
not
todavía de qué será.
gonna be.
Sunboat Soldier.
It's gonna be an art stream where we asked Jeremiah to create Sunboat Star Soldier or whatever the heck he said it was. For Chance Rowe, that was Jeremiah Lee. I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.
Bye. A good bug is a dead bug.
¿Cómo
Soldier.
se lo pasan, eh? ¿Cómo se lo pasan? Sí, ha estado bien, Nadísima, no está mal. Se han hablado de cosas de pelo y tal. Y no está mal. Pero no han cortado todavía. Aparecerá una imagen comprometida. Hostia, pues no han cortado todavía. Ojo, Ojo, cuidado. ¿Y si se ha olvidado de cortar? Se ha olvidado de cortar, tío. Voy a cortar. Se ha olvidado de cortar. Ahora, ¿ves? Ahí lo he leído. Grande.
Sigo.
Aquí.
Ay, Dios. Bueno, voy a cortar para que se quede para luego. Venga, ahora, pim pam.